The night was heavy with an unnatural stillness as I approached the desolate asylum on the outskirts of town. Moonlight struggled to penetrate the thick fog that clung to the air like a suffocating shroud. My footsteps echoed eerily against the crumbling walls, each sound amplifying the sense of isolation that permeated the asylum grounds. The asylum, long abandoned and condemned, stood as a decaying monument to forgotten horrors. The broken windows gaped like empty eye sockets, and the rusted gates groaned in protest as I pushed them open. I felt the weight of the darkness, an oppressive force that seemed to consume every flicker of light. As I ventured deeper into the asylum's twisted corridors, the air grew colder, and the oppressive silence gave way to the faint echoes of anguished whispers. Shadows danced on the peeling wallpaper, taking on grotesque forms that seemed to writhe with a malevolent energy. I could feel unseen eyes watching me, a sinister presence that clung to the very walls of the asylum. My flashlight revealed glimpses of forgotten rooms, each one telling a tale of unspeakable suffering. Beds with restraints still intact, rusted surgical instruments, and faded bloodstains painted a chilling picture of the asylum's dark history. The air became thick with the stench of decay, and an unsettling chill crept up my spine. As I reached the heart of the asylum, a cold breeze swept through the corridor, extinguishing my flashlight. Panic set in as I stood in absolute darkness, my breath visible in the frigid air. Whispers surrounded me, growing louder and more insistent. I fumbled for my flashlight, heart pounding in my chest, and when the beam of light flickered back to life, I found myself facing a door ajar, revealing a pitch-black room beyond. Compelled by an unknown force, I entered the room, and the door slammed shut behind me. The air grew thick with an oppressive malevolence as shadows congealed into a tangible form. A figure, cloaked in darkness, materialized before me, its hollow eyes fixated on mine, and a guttural growl reverberated through the room. In a chilling whisper, the figure spoke, "You trespassed into the realm of the Forsaken, where the forgotten seek revenge." I stumbled backward, terror gripping my every nerve. The walls seemed to close in, the air heavy with the anguished cries of the tormented souls. The figure advanced, and just as I braced for a nightmarish end, it revealed a face, twisted in agony, mirroring my own. The horrifying truth struck me like a bolt of lightning. The asylum was a mirror of my deepest fears, a manifestation of the darkness within. The twisted souls were reflections of my own haunted conscience, seeking retribution for sins long buried. As the asylum dissolved into darkness, I was left alone with the chilling realization that the true horror was not confined to the decaying walls but resided within the shadows of my own soul. The old town of Ravensbrook held a secret, hidden beneath the tangled roots of the ancient forest that surrounded it. It was said that a cursed mansion lay concealed among the gnarled trees, its presence known only to those who dared to venture into the heart of the woods. Intrigued and fueled by a morbid curiosity, I set out to uncover the mysteries that the townsfolk whispered about in hushed tones. The path to the mansion was obscured by overgrown thorns and twisted vines, creating an otherworldly barrier that seemed to repel the sunlight. As I pressed on, the air grew heavy with a stifling humidity, and the ominous whispers of the wind through the trees seemed to carry a warning. The mansion emerged from the shadows like a specter, its dilapidated facade staring back at me with hollow windows like vacant eyes. The silence was suffocating as I crossed the threshold, the only sound being the echoing creak of the rusty gate closing behind me, sealing my fate. The interior was frozen in time, adorned with faded wallpaper that depicted scenes of long-forgotten revelry. The floor creaked beneath my weight, protesting the intrusion as I wandered through the desolate halls. The air seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, and an inexplicable chill ran down my spine. In the grand ballroom, a long-forgotten gramophone crackled to life, its haunting melody filling the mansion. Shadows danced along the walls, and a ghostly apparition materialized in the center of the room. A woman in a tattered gown, her face veiled in darkness, extended a spectral hand towards me. "Welcome to the dance of the Forsaken," she whispered, her voice a mournful melody that echoed through the empty halls. Compelled by an unseen force, I joined the spectral waltz. The room spun, and ghostly figures materialized around me, their hollow eyes fixed on an unseen horizon. As the dance reached a crescendo, the music warped into a dissonant symphony, and the figures contorted in unnatural poses. Suddenly, the music ceased and the ghostly dancers vanished. leaving me alone in the oppressive silence. The once grand ballroom now seemed like a decaying mausoleum, the air thick with the residue of the spectral performance. I stumbled through the mansion's corridors, each step echoing with the weight of the past. In a forgotten chamber, I discovered a mirror, its surface reflecting a twisted version of myself. The air grew colder as the mirror whispered, revealing the mansion's dreadful secret. It was a purgatory for lost souls, eternally trapped in a spectral dance, each visitor condemned to join the macabre performance. As I fled the cursed mansion, the echoes of the spectral dance lingered in my mind. The once hidden secret of Ravensbrook now haunted my every waking moment, a chilling reminder of the price paid for curiosity in a town cursed by its own history. In the remote village of Black Hollow, nestled deep within a forest untouched by time, stood an ominous mansion known to locals as the House of Whispers. Legends whispered of its dark history, a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred, and where the shadows harbored malevolent secrets. Drawn by an unexplainable force, I found myself standing before the mansion's imposing gates. They groaned open reluctantly, as if protesting the intrusion. The air inside was thick with an otherworldly fog that clung to the atmosphere like a spectral. The mansion loomed like a forgotten monolith, its windows staring blankly into the void. As I stepped through the grand entrance, the doors slammed shut behind me, sealing my fate within the suffocating darkness. The walls seemed to pulse with a sinister energy, and the eerie silence was broken only by distant, ghostly whispers that echoed through the corridors. The mansion's layout defied logic, twisting and turning like a labyrinth designed to ensnare the unwary. Every room held a different horror, from portraits that followed your gaze with hollow eyes to dusty furniture that seemed to rearrange itself when you blinked. The air was laden with a scent of decay, and the creaking floorboards echoed with the memories of those who had long since departed. In the heart of the mansion, a forgotten chapel emerged, its pews covered in a layer of dust as if time itself had abandoned this sacred space. The air grew colder as an ethereal presence manifested before the dilapidated altar. A spectral figure, draped in funeral attire, beckoned me forward. "You have trespassed into the realm of the forgotten," it murmured, its voice a haunting melody that seemed to resonate within my very bones. "To escape, you must confront the shadows that bind you." Compelled by an unseen force, I joined the spectral waltz. The room spun, and ghostly figures materialized around me, their hollow eyes fixed on an unseen horizon. As the dance reached a crescendo, the music warped into a dissonant symphony, and the figures contorted in unnatural poses. The chapel walls seemed to close in as shadows detached themselves, morphing into grotesque forms that danced around me. Each shadow whispered secrets of my darkest fears and regrets, turning the chapel into a chamber of my own haunting memories. Just when I thought I would be consumed by the encroaching darkness, the spectral figure extended a hand, offering salvation. As I touched its cold, lifeless fingers, the mansion crumbled around us, and the oppressive fog lifted. I found myself standing outside the gates of Black Hollow, the mansion now a mere silhouette against the moonlight sky. The haunting whispers faded into the night, leaving me with the unsettling realization that the House of Whispers had been a manifestation of my own unresolved past, a nightmarish reflection of the shadows that lurked within my soul. As I walked away from Black Hollow, the echoes of the spectral whispers lingered, a chilling reminder that some hauntings are not bound by the walls of a mansion, but are eternally etched into the fabric of one's own existence.